So, good day. This video will demonstrate a program that calculates the total earnings for a week in a chemical laboratory with the use of conditional switch statements for program 2 of lab activity 7. So, the condition states that the salespeople receive $200 per week plus 9% of their gross sales for that certain week. So this is our formulated source codes, and I will explain them one by one. First is the include iOS string, which is really important because without this, the computer would not be able to read your codes. And this also provides the basic IO functionality in C++. One great example is the cout and cin, which we use in this codes. Next is using namespace std, which organizes the codes you put. Bear in mind that both of these codes will most likely appear in your C++ codes. Next is int main, open and close parenthesis, then brace bracket. So in sale, then now our group put while true, which is enclosed in a open and close parenthesis. So this code was researched by our group because we wanted to make the program a loop that will only be terminated by entering -1, which will be our case later. So now we will proceed to see out, enter the gross sales of last week, then see in sale. Then now we will proceed to the switch sale. So this is where we put switch because we will include a case -1 and also the default. For the case -1, when we enter the -1, the program will simply be terminated. We also put return 0 so that the this will be putting an end to the program. Next one is the default, which then use the code cout \n and then the gross sales for last week. Then also cout that includes total earnings for last week for formality. It also has our formula, which is 0.90 asterisk sale plus 200, which the sale is any value of your total earnings for last week that you entered. Then it will be multiplied to 0.90, then adds it to the weekly commission, which is $200 that a person gets as stated in the condition. Then close the program with a brace bracket. Then lastly, return to 0. That finishes off the program. So now we will run it so that we can see. I will use the example given in the activity, which is a salesperson who sells $5,000 worth of chemical in a week. Then will receive $200 commission plus 9% of 5,000, which is 450, giving off the total earnings for last week, which is 650. Another example is $6,000, which will give us the total earnings of last week, which is $748. Then lastly, you will put -1, but we'll completely terminate the program. That's it. So for the analysis, we observe that there are various steps that must be completed to program a system that inputs each salesperson's gross sales for last week and calculates the displays the salesperson's earnings. First is the program need to prompt the user to enter the salesperson's gross sales for last week. This can be done using an input statement that accepts the sales data as numeric value. The second one is that the program needs to calculate the salesperson's earnings based on their gross sales for that week. This can be done using the formula that calculates the earnings as percentage of the gross sales. Third one is that this program needs to display the salesperson's earnings after calculating them. Fourth one is the program needs to repeat the steps, and this can be done using a loop that iterates over the salespeople and terminates when the user enters -1 to terminate the program completely. Fifth one is the program should handle input validation and error checking. This includes checking that the user inputs a valid sales amount, which is a positive number, and handling a termination condition, which is negative one. Next one is that the program can also include features such as error message and input sanitation to improve the user's experience and prevent potential bugs. And by completing each of these steps, the program will be more efficient, effective, and easy to maintain in the long run. So for the conclusion, we have learned that the importance of input validation and error handling, since the program relies on user input, it is important to check that the input is valid and can be processed correctly. In this case, the program should check that the sales data entered is positive number and that the termination condition, negative one, is handled correctly. Another important lesson is the importance of using loops and conditional statements in programming. In this case, the program can use a loop repeatedly prompt the user for sales data until the termination condition is met. The program can also use conditional statements to determine the salesperson's earnings based on the sales data entered. Programming a salesperson's earnings calculator can provide a practical application of mathematical concepts like percentage, commission rates, and gross earning calculations. This can also reinforce understanding of this concept and their real world applications. That is all. Thank you.